So now it is my pleasure to introduce the writer of this play tonight, Les Shanahan. Les has enjoyed an interesting life, one which informs his writing as a playwright and a poet. He was born on Loomy Island near Bellingham, Washington, and after spending 4 years with the U.S. Coast Guard, graduated from the Farrier or Horseshoeing School program at Oregon State University. Next, he was a ferry boat captain for 25 years, plying the waters of Northwest Washington State. He and Carol, his wife of 40 years, moved to the Wood River Valley and have lived here for 26 years. Les saw his first play at age 51 at Whitmore College in Walla Walla and has been going to the theater ever since. He is also a painter and a sculptor. And so I'll introduce his wife, Carol Shanahan, who will lead you into the play tonight. I think you'll enjoy it very much. Thank you for coming.
Thanks, Kirsten. Hi, thanks for coming to patRIOT. I want to welcome you. It is a short play. We do not have an intermission, so it's about an hour, really. And I want to thank Kirsten who made all this possible, really. And I also want to thank our wonderful friends and readers, actors, Craig Spiller, Mark Howland, Charlie Fowler, Rosemary Cody, and Trenton Pennington. So enjoy the play. Okay. Scene 1, federal courtroom. Father, acting as his own lawyer, stands behind a table as he addresses his son, who sits in the witness box.
Good morning.
Hi, Dad.
Tell me, how did you and I come to be in this courtroom?
Well, you're on trial, and I'm here as a witness.
A witness to what, I may ask?
Your character, apparently.
And I thank you for taking the time.
You asked me here, Dad.
Kitchen. Father and son sit facing the audience at a table with a laptop in front of them. Mother stands nearby.
Why are we doing this again?
He's right. We've traveled down this road before, and it always ends up at a fork.
Because I need him to understand why I did what I did.
I understand that you understand why you did. It's just that I can't make that leap.
I know what he's saying. Sometimes it's hard for me, too.
It shouldn't be a leap. It's about saving the country, our way of life.
If rioting and getting people killed just to satisfy an egotistical maniac with a God complex is going to be our way of life, no thanks.
We're patriots, and we're willing to take the ultimate stand. This country is tanking.
Eventually, you'll be going to prison, you know.
Stop it. Your father is not going to prison. You don't go to prison for doing what you think is right. This is America.
Right. Besides, they can't touch me if they can't find me.
Dad, they're going to find you. They have ways, and you're going to stand trial. Don't you get it?
Father ignores son and leans into the screen and traces a finger over it.
There I am, and listen to this.
No thanks.
Hear them, what they're saying. They stole it. We want our country back. Let's take it. Come on.
What? Oh yeah, I hear them. But don't you mean us instead of them?
Son becomes engrossed with his phone as he vapes.
What are you doing? When did you start smoking?
It's not smoking, it's vaping.
It's still smoking, and it's still nicotine.
Hey, can I get your undivided attention here? Not much, I'm asking. Just a few minutes, okay?
Yeah, sure.
I still really want you to know exactly what happened out there. It's important to me.
Sorry, come on. You know you've showed this to me already. More than once. Nothing has changed.
You've got the attention span of a gnat. You know that?
Just give him another chance. It took me a while to grasp, but some of it makes a certain amount of sense.
Not you too. Tell me it's not true.
He's not nuts, and he has a right to his beliefs.
But they're not his beliefs. They're the ex-president's beliefs, and I underline ex.
Nevertheless,
Nevertheless, nothing. I get that he's your husband and all that goes with it, but you have your own good mind. It's okay to use it. You don't need permission.
All right, that's enough. Back off.
Sorry, I'm tired. It's been a long drive from Seattle to Boise.
I know, son, and I appreciate it.
Dad, you've got to know it's been a while since January 6th.
You're right, and it's kind of played hell with our relationship.
Not to mention what it's done to the country and the way it's challenged our democracy. And Mom, how's it with you and Dad? Good, bad, indifferent?
good. We're good. Don't worry about us. This is not our first rodeo.
But it had to be done. I had to go.
And with Mom's blessing? Is that right, Mom?
I don't have the right to bless anything. Your father was and is going to do what he's going to do.
She's right. She understands. I couldn't not go to the protest. I had to be there.
With you in the middle of it all? Are you so sure? And now he's running again. I hoped you learned something from all this.
Ha! You sound like a father talking to a wayward son.
If the shoe fits.
They watched the replay on the screen together.
The problem is we're each seeing a different reality.
How so?
More questions than answers.
I suppose so.
That's pretty much how life works.
I just can't see how you came to this point. I mean, you advocated for the homeless.
I know.
And you supported me when I came out as gay, for Christ's sakes.
I still do, and I do it again.
I can only come out once, Dad. No double dipping.
All I'm saying is I'm a good guy. I have rights like everyone else.
He's not wrong, son.
Son leans forward and studies the screen with intent.
Yet there you are, storming a police barricade.
Yep, that's me.
That was a pretty insane thing to do.
Alongside the Proud Boys and neo-Nazis, no less.
Even more insane. What were you thinking?
I'm not them. Never have been. Get that through both of your heads.
Now you're splitting hairs. You're scripting right out of his playbook.
Father takes out a piece of paper and draws on it and shows his son.
Look at this. There's the National Mall, and the Peace Circle, and the Capitol Building, and the food truck.
The food truck?
I didn't have time for breakfast that morning.
I told you to wake me before you left. I would have fixed something.
Whoa, you knew what he was doing and you didn't stop him?
Just how was I supposed to do that? You couldn't have done it either.
I thought you were just humoring him.
I was unstoppable.
Yet you stopped when you were on your way to take over the capital of the United States.
What? You didn't expect me to overthrow the government on an empty stomach, did you?
Like I said, mea culpa.
Good one, Dad. Lightness in the time of crisis.
Well, I've still got it, I guess.
I remember the time you, a Republican, voted for Obama anyway.
What? Did you really?
Ha!
You've got some nerve.
That's not all. There have been times when I wrote my own name in, just to mess with the system.
How very ingenious of you. Did you get any votes?
Who knows? Oh, look at that. I mean, a mass of people, a river of people. Imagine that.
Weren't you scared?
I don't remember. You're in a current, and you're being pushed around with no control of where you're going, kind of like a riptide.
Now that's the part I wasn't too thrilled about.
I thought you were supposed to swim parallel to the shore to get out of a riptide.
Could be, but there was no parallel shore and no chance. Besides, what do you know from a riptide? You grew up in Boise.
No chance or chose not to?
Father and son jumped back from computer screen in alarm.
What? What just happened?
That's a concussion grenade. Exploded right on me.
What in God's name are you doing with a percussion grenade? Whatever that is.
It wasn't mine. It was the cops.
On you? Really?
Well, right beside me then, like really close.
Then what happened?
Well, you can see how that might stir up a mob, don't you?
Son, staring down at his phone, is semi-disengaged from the conversation.
Earth the sun. I wasn't some lunatic frothing at the mouth, you know.
So you admit it was a mob then? But stir up? Wouldn't that have been the time for an honorable retreat?
For a very short time, I was in a risky situation. How could I cut and run?
Short time? Risky? The king of understatements?
Calm down. He's sitting right here in the room with us. No harm done. I'm sorry. I hate to leave this scintillating debate, but I have an appointment with my therapist. Try not to harm each other.
Mother leaves the room.
Right. All is well on the Western Front.
Don't you see where I'm coming from with this?
I'm trying to, but it makes no sense.
I know you are, but it seems so obvious to me.
That's only because you're convinced that you're right.
The truth is always obvious.
His presidency was a sham, an embarrassment to the country, a joke to most of the world until they realized how corrupt he turned out to be.
Well, sure. Even I've got to admit that he carried some baggage.
You call being a racist mere baggage? And fraud just baggage? Not paying his workers and not paying taxes a little baggage?
But he kept gas prices down, not to mention keeping the economy thriving. That kept my business from going under.
You're giving him way too much credit. He was riding the coattails of those that came before him.
And what about those wars over in the Middle East?
I'll bite. What about them?
He ended them.
Really? You really think those wars that have been going on for decades, if not centuries, are ever going to end?
Nevertheless, I'm sick and tired of left-wing media's dismissal of millions of us, who are voters, by the way, as a mob of bigoted white bubbas, just because we don't see what they see.
Well, then why didn't he enact early COVID-related lockdowns? He could have with the snap of his fingers. Snap, COVID arrested. Not over, but at least abated.
Because it was a hoax. I suppose you were all in on masking and social distancing.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Even though it was hurting my business by forcing my guys to stay off the job because of so-called social distancing. I never heard of such a thing until then. Just a new term to confuse the issue, I say.
The issue, as you say, was saving lives. Thousands of lives.
No one was going to die, for pity's sake.
And yet,
come on, son, think about it. You're smart enough to process some made-up BS. I taught you how to think for yourself.
I can't argue with that, so you're going to love this.
Good. Make me proud.
I voted Democrat. Does that fill you with pride?
What? Why?
Because the Republican platform is anti-gay. Anti-everything, actually.
And that's your reason? That's what you voted the fate of your country on?
Why else, Dad? I'm a gay man, remember?
Okay. I kind of see where you're coming from, but still.
But still nothing. If you support him, you don't support me. End of story.
Black and white? No gray areas?
None. You were home, I assume, when the new president was announced. So what got you literally on the road to Damascus?
He had the lead when I went to sleep after midnight. When I woke up in the morning, the Democrats had claimed to win. Unbelievable.
So? That's why they call them elections. Somebody is elected, somebody wins, somebody loses. That's it.
I kept changing channels, went online to compare stories. You know how the liberal media works. They spread all kinds of rumors.
Rumors? You mean like we have a new president?
Right. Something stunk to high heaven. High up government people were saying things like, there's been election fraud. Republicans, you need to fight to the last breath. This fake election cannot stand.
No, there wasn't anything wrong. To you, the only thing wrong was that your man lost.
Not so. I've studied voter turnout data.
What? How did you even do that?
I have my sources. I've done extensive research.
Totally fact-checked, I'm sure. I'm too familiar with your obsessions, by the way.
What obsessions?
You know, your beachcombing for the perfect stone.
Not an obsession.
And of course, there's your coin buying binge.
A hobby, nothing more.
Like I say, an obsession.
Anyway, back to the election fraud, and there's no other name for it.
I'm hearing nothing but a broken record, Dad. Round and round it goes, as flawed as it is.
Go ahead, laugh. But there's a lot of truth being said about the election count.
Alternate truth is what I'm hearing. Selective truth.
Sure. But which is the alternate?
Interpretation, which leaves both you and I in the dark. Agreed?
I'm not in the dark. The fact is, there just aren't enough men who will actually stand up and do what needs doing. You know, face the facts.
And just what are those facts?
Wake up, look around, think.
Dad, you're taking this too far. Way too far.
Not far enough is more like it. Call me mad, make fun of me, but I mean seriously, I believe it's madness to look around at all that is happening and then sit idly by while our country, our lives, future, and the future of our children is ripped to shreds.
Okay, I give. You're crazy as they come. But it's not fun I'm making of you. Take a breath, Dad. You're worrying me now more than you already have. All that's happening? What is that even supposed to mean?
Geez, what's happening is that there's a storm brewing and it will sweep the country very soon. We need to take our country back before it's too late.
It sounds like the storm is coming from you and you're like-minded. Are you going to stand your ground?
Funny, you should put it back that way. But yeah, we need to fight back. Get the hell out of the way and support those who do, or be prepared to defend ourselves.
Listen, your rants, just like his, are nothing but generalities. Specifics never enter into it.
They're very specific.
You mean like make America great again, drain the swamp, stop our blood from being poisoned.
I can't believe you're questioning proven facts.
When was America ever great? Can you tell me that?
Always has been. Up to the last decade or so, that is.
We've been good, and that should be what we as a nation should aspire to. We don't need to be great. Truthfulness, fairness, and justice are what really counts.
Well, listen to you, the liberal, wrong-headed speechmaker.
I'm no speechmaker, Dad. Just another patriotic citizen. You should know what that is. You've used it enough times.
In good conscience, I might add.
But not in great conscience?
You know, sometimes you're too clever for your own good, and it doesn't suit you.
Yeah, right. So this is what you're leading up to that day. You pulled me aside from our Monopoly game that I was winning, by the way, and you told me that you and your friend were going to go rally at the U.S. Capitol.
A peaceful protest. How many times do I have to tell you?
And as an aside, you told me you might not be coming back.
There was a chance of that, yeah.
Well, thanks for that. That's what every son wants to hear from his father.
I was being honest. I owed you that much.
So you knew what you were getting into, and you still went. That's insane, and I don't believe it.
Like I said, I could never lie to you.
You know, I've been living with that same sense of shock ever since, so thanks again, Dad.
Look, son, you gotta believe me. There was something illegal about that stolen election.
Get real, Dad. It's been proven otherwise over and over again.
No, it hasn't. You got it wrong, real wrong. After that, as an American patriot, I felt I had a duty to engage.
And how many Americans did not feel the need to engage, as you say?
That was, and still is the problem, right there.
Well, at least we agree.
We do?
Yeah.
At last?
Yeah, Americans do not need to engage in keeping what democracy we have left. Oh, sorry. Yes, Americans do need to engage in keeping what democracy we have left. They don't need to resort to violence. It's not rocket science. Simply vote. No violence. Just vote to keep him out of office ever again.
And here's me thinking we finally agreed on something.
Violence, Dad. What good will ever come out of it except, more likely than not, landing you in prison?
I never planned on or saw what was coming.
But you just said.
Okay, I might have sensed it was coming, but I couldn't admit to it myself.
Any right-thinking person would have known that there couldn't have been any other outcome.
You've got me wrong. I'm not a white supremacist or an anti-vaxxer.
I want to believe that, but there's an awfully big but hanging in there.
I'm not one of those conspiracy theorist guys or a Proud Boy.
Geez, Dad, is there anything else you're not?
Well, deep down, I'm not really into that guy.
Then what's left? What are you then?
I'm a family man, trying to leave something better for my children. So sue me. That's why I told you to watch his speech.
Well, suing you has already begun by the federal government, no less.
You did watch the speech, right? That should have told you something.
I watched it all right.
Good.
Not good.
No, you heard where he said, we will never concede. You don't concede when there's theft involved.
We obviously heard it through different filters.
Powerful stuff, you've got to admit. And there's more.
I know. As I said, I watched it.
And then he says, if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
Dad!
Now, if that isn't a call to arms, I don't know what is.
Fight who? Who is this mythical enemy?
Tell me, is he wrong?
Answer my question. Who are you going to fight?
The establishment. Who do you think?
And you don't think he's part of the establishment?
Of course not. He's one of us.
You have got to be joking.
Not at all.
So, you live in a mansion, fly around in your jumbo jet, literally live a lie, don't file your income taxes, and grope women whenever you feel insecure, while wearing a pointy red phallic tie? That's you then, is it?
Those are the trappings of a good leader. He has to be seen as strong.
Seen as? I hate that term. It's only used by those that have something to hide. If you're only seen as something, that means you're actually not.
It's worked for him so far, and for the good of the country.
It's not an image, and it's not strength. It's a bully on the rampage.
You're reading him all wrong.
What I know is that there's no one way to read him.
He wants the best for all of us.
He wants what's best for him and only him.
You make him sound like some sort of authoritarian. He's not. Far from it.
I watched as thousands of people marched on the Capitol on his word alone.
He had no choice. They were going to ratify a bogus election. We answered the call.
Speaking of his word, he promised he would be there with you, arm in arm and all that. But true to his nature, he lied again, didn't he?
Nevertheless, it was an awesome, wasn't it? I mean, to see true democracy at work, but I have to say it was a little bit scary too.
Then you saw what I saw.
A peaceful but determined protest.
You, Dad, I saw you. Shit!
You couldn't have been surprised. I told you I was going.
I was still in shock. I tried calling you on your cell, but it was too late. You were in the thick of it by then.
Yeah, I was somehow magically pushed up against the barricades.
Magic? There's no magic about it. I know what I saw. And the reality of you on the screen still hasn't sunken in.
They gassed us. The police, I mean. Can you believe it?
Of course I can believe it. I was as good as there.
Then you would have seen us pressuring them, screaming, "Get out, go."
They were the police, for crying out loud. They weren't supposed to go anywhere but where they were.
We were giving them an out.
An out? How generous of you. I saw you lob a broken flagpole at one of them.
We warned them.
By trying to kick one of them?
He was goading me, son. You just don't take that lying down.
And to top it all off, you shoved that cop in the chest.
But you never saw me enter the Capitol, did you?
No, to your credit, I can honestly say I didn't.
Because I didn't. Never stepped one foot into that place.
Were you okay after the riot was over?
Sure. Although I'd never been in a fight like that before. One hell of a fight.
As I said, I saw it.
I got clubbed.
So you got clubbed and you were okay. How does that work?
I got mine.
Yours? What was yours to get?
I did some damage.
Damage, oh great. What you guys did that day was outright treason, not to mention a security threat to the country.
You've got to be kidding me. We showed up and it was peaceful. And then they gassed and attacked us.
In all reality, everyone there other than the police should be locked up, including you.
I can't believe you're saying that. What a thing to say.
Dad, you stormed the fucking Capitol.
It was them. They started the violence.
That's not the way I saw it.
Now they understand that we mean business and we're not giving up. It's too important.
You have a family who count on you. What in the hell made you think this was a good idea?
But that's exactly why I went.
No, it wasn't. You went because you were bored and just wanted to be part of something. Something big, something meaningful.
So now you're a shrink, huh?
By the way, I saw the note you wrote to Granddad.
Oh, which one?
You know, the one where you said, boldly speaking the truth as you see it.
So, everyone should want to live by those words.
And then you say, my kids will be able to say a lot of things about me, but they will never be able to say that I lived my life cowering like a kicked dog, hoping for comfort from this government.
I'd be happy to have you put that on my headstone.
Oh, I've got your headstone all right. Comfort? You think I'm comfortable with all of this?
That would be my legacy to you guys, to pass on the idea to you.
Dad, pardon me, but you sound like some Russian bolshevik during the revolution.
Maybe in these times in this country, that would be considered good company.
Please, spare me. What about your Facebook postings?
Ah, you've been following me then. I'm honored.
Unfortunately, I can't get them out of my head.
I call that a good thing.
I mean, you actually said the peaceful protesters were in fact patriots.
Well, they were. Patriots, that is, and peaceful, at least in the beginning.
It's odd how the word riot rears its ugly head at the end of that word. Coincidence, don't you think?
Now you're messing with that sacred word. What balls?
It's not a religion.
To some of us, it is.
And saying that everyone else were sheep, soft, ignorant, and delusional, that helped things, didn't it?
The truth, nothing less.
Me included, I'm sure. Sounds to me like you could have been speaking about your compatriots.
Now, don't twist my words.
Dad, at least a few people died as a result of that riot. Oh, excuse me, I meant non-lethal gathering of well-meaning concerned citizens.
Well, who's to blame for that?
More than 100 police officers were injured. Don't you think there's something wrong with that scenario?
They have only themselves to blame.
Wait, you're saying they beat and bludgeoned each other?
All I'm saying, it was their fault.
Right. A child's denial. He started it.
son sits alone at a table, looking at his laptop screen as he reads out loud.
Must hold the traitors accountable. Here are some photos of individuals that we have on file in this case. If you recognize any of these persons of interest, please contact the FBI at the following website.
Son goes through the motions of scanning the photos. At some point he startles and then puts his face right up to the screen.
Shit! God damn it!
Son goes deep into prolonged, agonizing thought. Finally, he starts typing on his laptop, speaking as he types.
He went to D.C. specifically for this. He's home bragging about beating up cops and destroying property at the Capitol. The man in photo 96 is...
Kitchen. Mother is sitting at the table with a drink and a cigarette while she stares at her son.
You what?
It was me who turned in Dad to the FBI.
How could you? I don't believe what I'm hearing.
How could I not?
You really believe that you did that?
I'm not hallucinating, Mom. I got on their hotline, and that was that.
You're scaring me.
Sorry, but what would that make me if I hadn't contacted them?
In your father's eyes, probably a hero. How are you ever going to live with that?
I haven't figured that out yet. But to quote Dad, it had to be done.
I'm stunned.
I
I need another drink.
I can imagine. So what about you? You haven't said what you think. Do you think I'm a traitor?
I'm confused. I'm not sure what I think. Deep down, I know you did the right thing, but still, I just don't know.
I see. Why didn't you turn him in?
How could I have done that? I'm his wife.
Right, stand by your man and all that. I get it. I'm not judging, mind you.
Unlike you, the thought never occurred to me. I mean, I just can't think he's wrong, not entirely. After 40 years together, you just have to believe in each other.
But does that make you complicit then?
Complicit? I didn't do anything. I didn't march on the Capitol. I just hung in there, hoping your father would come to his senses.
Then you really didn't agree with him?
Of course not. I tried to get him to see how he had been duped there, but there was no other course for him. He was so sure in all these years, I've never seen him like that.
So how does a person get in that frame of mind, do you think?
I've laid awake at nights thinking about that, believe me. Frustration. Although I don't know what he had to be frustrated about. The business was allowing us to live comfortably. He could mostly indulge in any whims he might have had. I don't have the answer.
I wonder if he really does himself.
The only thing I can think of is that he felt to have a sense of belonging, like connection. That's my best guess.
That seems like a stretch.
Does it? I mean, where are all the fraternal organizations now? Like the Elks, the Moose, the Masons. Oh, they may exist all right, but they've been waning for the last years. Not to mention bowling leagues. Well, he didn't hesitate to join his movement, did he?
Because there was nothing else to join? Is that what you're saying?
Who knows? I mean, how many close friends do you have? From what I know, you can count them on one hand.
Whoa, on target, Mom. Only you don't see me carrying a Nazi flag and hanging out with the Proud Boys because of it, do you?
I'm sorry. The fact is I do feel a little complicit and tend to lash out over the guilty feeling. I don't feel that I aided and abetted, but I sure wasn't able to change his mind.
You're welcome to the club.
Not necessarily a club of my own choosing.
Along with helping tear the country apart, it seems that our family's headed down that path too.
I wouldn't go that far. You and I, we're here for him, just as he's always been here for us. That part doesn't ever change, right?
I guess so, in a kind of convoluted way.
Nothing convoluted about it. You know our family, it's written in stone.
What do we do now? I mean, how do we forgive him?
Forgive? Forgive who? The ex-president?
Don't play cute, Mom. Dad. How do we forgive Dad?
Do you mean, do we never utter his sins aloud? Do we bucket his so-called sins down the darkness of a well?
I don't even know what that means.
It was rhetorical. Who really has the right to forgive anyone? Not me, not you. More to the point, is there really any forgiveness in anyone?
Well, I'm not sure where that came from, but it's an interesting take.
Besides, your question is mute. If everyone needed forgiving for doing what they think and believe is the right thing to do, there wouldn't be anyone left to do the forgiving.
Why are you going all zen on me?
That's not Zen, it's common sense. I don't think there's such a thing as total forgiveness. It's impossible to simply forget alleged sins on a truthful basis.
Just the same, do you think Dad will forgive me?
I just told you what I think.
Okay. Do you think he will hold a grudge against me? Not see me in the same light?
Don't worry. You'll always be his son who was taught to do the right thing and to do it no matter what. In other words, he'll be proud of you in a mixed blessing kind of way.
Do you think he knows?
Knows what?
What I did. I outed him.
He's not stupid. Well, he's selectively stupid. But you know what I mean.
Shit! What if he comes out of prison and is going, what if he comes out of prison more radicalized than he already is?
We'll cross those waters when the tide is out.
The parents' house. The son, as he enters the parents' house, the lights go up, the room is trashed. Father is sitting at a table with papers scattered out on it.
Dad, what in the hell is going on? The living room looks like a bomb went off.
A bomb did go off, but of a different kind.
Are you going to tell me what happened?
A visit by the FBI. They found enough to lay charges.
Charges? Of what and why?
You're asking?
Right.
It's sad. It's turned out to be a sad day all around, hasn't it? For both of us, I mean.
Yeah, I guess. I'm sorry in a way.
In a way?
It's been so long that I thought maybe they would give you a pass.
You thought? But you weren't hoping, though, were you?
That's not fair.
Anyhow, no such luck. They raided the place. They're contemplating 16 charges.
Really? 16? I had no idea.
I guess it had to happen sometime. They were bound to find out.
Mom thinks that you know it was me who turned you in.
Well, I didn't know for sure until now.
Crazy question. Are you mad at me?
No, not mad. Disappointed, but not surprised.
You dug your own grave, Dad.
Laid me to rest already, huh?
Don't be maudlin. You brought me up, taught me to do the right thing, told me that if I believed in something to follow it through.
I did that, all right. Little did I think.
That your own no-good son would turn you in?
Oh, the problem is we each practiced what I preached.
And look where that got us.
You okay?
Look who's asking.
With this between us, it's going to take some doing. Being us again, I mean.
It's just that I heard a congressional hearing that he had his top aides and attorneys testifying that they had told him many times that he had legitimately lost the election.
All I heard at the time was what he said on Twitter. Be there, be wild.
And the police testified that they were overrun by a crowd. People with nooses, Confederate flags, body armor, bear spray, spears, knives, and at least a handful of guns. Guns, Dad, think about it.
I wasn't carrying. As far as him telling us to go there and be wild. He was the president trying to protect his country. It was his duty, and it was our duty to do it as the president of the United States ordered.
But he wasn't, was he?
Meaning what?
When you were there, in the middle of that mob, did you see him anywhere in the area, much less the Capitol steps?
He was there in spirit.
In spirit? That's rich. He was in a safely distanced Capitol dining room, watching TV, and probably stuffing his face with Cheetos.
Well, he was right there beside us in spirit and still is.
Do you even know what he said when he was told that they had to take the vice president to a safe room?
Whatever he said, it was too good for the VP.
So what?
So what?
That's what the President of the United States said about the Vice President being moved to a safe room away from the rioters. So what?
Was he wrong? The Vice President had no guts.
Funny, that's what the President said. The Vice President lacks the courage to do what needs to be done.
Well, that was the VP in a nutshell.
And when he heard the mob, that's you, by the way, heard that they were shouting and looking to hang the Vice President, our president in hiding said he deserves it. The Vice President of the United States deserves hanging. That's what things have come to.
Well, there you go.
You and your gang were conned, Dad. Simple as that.
The president distanced himself for the good of the country.
Distanced himself? He started the engine of the whole thing.
Well, someone needed to.
What about the future? What about when you go to prison, which is probably where you're going? Will he be there with you then, or just in spirit? Don't bet the farm on that one.
Father lowers his head, almost in regret, and then perks up while he shoves some papers across the table to his son.
What's this?
Just look at them.
Dad, I don't want to know what the charges that they've got against you.
Go on, look at them.
Son rifles through a handful of papers.
What the hell? These aren't charges. They're likes. You have likes?
I have a fan club. Look at them. Can they be wrong?
Our forefathers are hailing your bravery. Oh, come on.
The internet doesn't lie. Go on, pick a letter, any letter. Keep reading.
You're a martyr and a hero of troubled times.
Pretty heady stuff, huh?
Are you kidding me? Really?
There's one in there that says that they are praying for me and my family. Tells me to stay strong, patriot.
You're buying all this BS crap, are you? I'm speechless.
Not crap, fellow travelers. I'm defending myself, by the way.
I know you are. You've been doing it for the last 2 years.
No, not to you. In court. I'm going to be my own lawyer.
Oh no, don't even think about it. You know the old saying.
Not true in this case. My lawyer said the same thing as you when I told him. But for me, it's the only way for me to get a fair trial.
Dad, please, no.
I'm thinking before a judge, no jury.
Federal court. Original court scene with father still acting as his own lawyer while the judge presides.
How would you describe your father politically?
Politically moderate, I guess.
Moderate?
Well, to the right, I'd say, but not batshit, far extreme conspiracy nut right.
And have you ever read your father's online postings?
Some, yeah.
What was your takeaway from these messages?
That they were exaggerated and designed to instigate.
And that's how you saw him?
No, not at all. That's not the dad I knew.
Have there been any complications between you and your father?
You mean other than politics? We mostly see eye to eye on things.
The politics that you refer to, is this a problem then?
The real problem is that we're both quite stubborn.
A chip off the old block, yeah?
Pretty much, but not as far as politics go.
Tell me, Would you stand up here in this courtroom and lie to keep your father from going to prison?
No, absolutely not. I'm not going to perjure myself.
I see. So the truth is important to you, is it?
All I've ever wanted is for this to be over.
This,
Whatever the truth is.
no matter what?
No matter what.
Whether it puts your father in prison or keeps him out?
Yes, either way.
Simple as that, then?
No, not as simple as that. I just want the truth to be heard and discovered.
I'm sure your father is very proud of you.
I can only hope so.
And you must know that he loves you.
Yes.
I think at this point, a 10-minute break is in order.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Lights up, still in the courtroom. Aggressive prosecution lawyer in front of father, who is seated in the witness box.
Why did you go to Washington, D.C. on January 6th?
To participate in a lawful protest.
Not to join a mob of insurrectionists at the Capitol, then?
I did not go to Washington to stop the democratic process, if that's what you're asking.
It appears that that is exactly what I'm asking.
I went to show my support for the legal process of reviewing the results of the election.
Not to riot.
To protest peacefully.
However, in the videos that were shown, it appears that the police were defending themselves against an uncontrollable mob, of which you were part of, wouldn't you say?
I do not agree. I was there. You weren't.
And thankful for that I am. Then what in your mind were you doing?
The police weren't defending themselves from a mob. They were provoking a mostly peaceful crowd of protesters.
A peaceful crowd, you say?
Peaceful and lawful, yes.
So then, why do we see you kicking a police officer?
You don't.
No.
I was backing away and lifting my leg.
To relieve yourself?
Your Honor.
Stop right there. Decorum, please. This is a court of law, not a burlesque show.
I beg your pardon, Your Honor. If I may continue?
You may, but be careful.
What about the police shield we saw you grabbing at?
I was pulling it out of the way so no one would weaponize it.
Not stealing it then?
No.
So you were not a protagonist that day? You weren't malevolent or spiteful?
Listen, I was just the victim of some crap luck that day.
Unlucky for you, that is.
Look, a bunch of people screwed up. I admit that. But a bunch of police officers did too.
And here we are, left to ferret out the truth.
The truth, like everything, is usually found somewhere in the middle. But when was the last time anybody ever looked at the middle when looking for the truth?
Interesting that you should say that. I would like you to recall the body cam footage worn by the police officer that you assaulted.
I recall it all right, but it didn't show any assault.
I expect that hinges on one's definition of the word assault. The camera clearly shows the officer trying to protect himself with a 4-foot riot shield, does it not?
He has a shield, yes, and a helmet and a gas mask. But why wear all that to a peaceful protest?
Why indeed? Is that not you coming at the officer with your right foot bracing the weight of your body and both hands out front pushing against the shield?
Okay, that was me in the picture.
Actually, and unfortunately for you, you still are in the picture.
What do you want from me? The best way I can describe what I was feeling was just pure panic.
And I'm sure the officer felt the very same way.
In the kitchen, mother and father.
Well, what do you think?
I'm not sure. what to think. But maybe, just maybe, I may have persuaded the judge to my way of thinking.
Ever the optimist. Honey, your case was weak. Admit it.
I don't think a lawyer could have done any better than I did.
That's my point.
So you think I'm going to prison then?
I do.
Do you resent that?
That's an odd question. Yes, I think I do. I resent that you felt the need to sacrifice your life and family for that man. He's odious and definitely not worth it.
He's a strong man, and that's what the country needs. Now more than ever. Just because he's borderline sexist and racist doesn't mean he isn't good for the people of this country.
Listen to yourself. I'm your wife, a woman in case you haven't noticed. And I'm biracial. How is that supposed to be good for me and in turn for our family?
You're talking generalities. None of that is going to affect you. If I'm good with him, I'm good. And if I'm good, so are you. That's the way it works with him.
Oh, right. Loyalty is the be-all and end-all.
Well, of course. It's disloyalty that he has a problem with, and who can blame him?
Tell me this. What do you think would be happening to you if we were living in Russia right now? Does that appeal to you?
Russia? Why would we be living in Russia? Are you crazy?
Probably. But if not Russia, how about North Korea? How would that suit you?
Neither. If you don't mind. Those countries have no freedom.
But you have freedom here, right?
To a point, yes.
Then what's the problem? Is it unrestrained freedom you want?
More or less. Less government interference.
And that would come with that man in office?
Let's just say we would all be better off.
Look, I can see where you're going, but I think you've gone too far.
Does that mean you're thinking of divorcing me?
What? Where did that come from? That never entered my mind.
Oh, good. You had me scared for a minute. So, if I go to prison, you'll visit me?
Of course. Why wouldn't I?
You're asking me?
Look, and don't take this the wrong way, but I'm proud of the way you stand by your convictions. I wouldn't expect anything else of you.
Then what would I take the wrong way?
I have my convictions too, and they just don't happen to agree with you.
But you just said.
I know what I just said. I'll stand by you, but the reality is that I need to stand by me also.
I get that.
For one, I'll run the business while you're away.
In the kitchen, father and son sit at the table.
For me, that push is what stands out.
Please, can I just explain though?
Why? It's self-explanatory. You did it, Dad.
There were cops shooting into a mass of people.
With good reason, don't you think?
There was an older woman wearing an American flag sweatshirt that kept going back up the steps toward the police. They finally pepper sprayed her.
That seems unlikely.
No, it actually happened. Then they shoved her down the steps.
Come on, Dad.
By that time, everybody's off their head.
And then?
It's Armageddon. From there on, a total clusterfuck.
Okay, enough, Dad.
There's more. I just need you to understand. That's all I'm trying to do here.
I get the idea, but I can't take any more denials, okay?
Just know this. That officer that I supposedly shoved, he was backing up toward the stairway.
So what?
Well, it was at that point that he threatened to shoot me.
Really? In that mob, with all its noise and chaos, you heard him say that?
I did, distinctly.
So then you shoved him and he fell to the ground.
He had turned his head. I thought he was going for his gun. What else could I do?
You're saying it was a spontaneous act of self-defense?
Yes, absolutely yes. I heard him say, or I'll shoot.
Well, it seems like no one else heard him.
But you do believe what I'm telling you. Do you understand now?
I believe you were sincere. I believe that you love your country and your family, and you wanted the best for them.
I'm glad you understand. That's all I ever wanted.
But I also believe that you can't rationalize away some events. They're either real or they're imagined. They're either right or they're wrong.
There's still that middle ground to be considered. Fair enough. Where does that leave us, you and me?
Well, any meaningful reconciliation has to start from a place of accountability and truth.
Yeah, I pushed that shield. But listen to this.
Dad, I'm going to ask you a question that's been on my mind for a while.
Shoot.
What is it that you want that you don't have?
What kind of question is that? What every American has a right to. That's what I want.
Jesus, Dad, could you be any more general? I mean, you have your F-250, you have your bass boat, you have your RV trailer, and not to mention your guns and a semi-thriving business. So I'm asking, what do you want that you don't have?
Am I supposed to apologize for those things? I earned them.
You earned them under a democratic system. A good system for you, as it turns out.
So, I can't argue with that.
Then why do you want our country to come under the power of a dictator?
What? What dictator? What dictators are you talking about?
Him, he and his cronies. He finally said it.
Said what?
He said publicly that he will be a dictator from his first day in office. You know, like Hitler, Stalin, Mussolini, Kim Jong-un, and half the Middle East and South American leaders.
They've got nothing to do with us. You're just panicking. He just got carried away. He didn't mean it.
Dad, when have his rants ever not meant anything? They always mean something to his followers.
That's irrelevant. This country needs a strong man to lead it without all the hassle of the Congress and Senate and judges. Who needs them?
Well, speaking of dictators, you're going to find out what it's like to live under a dictatorship while you're in prison. That will either make you or break you.
Back to the courtroom. Father sits at the table awaiting the judge's verdict. Mother and son are sitting in the audience section of the courtroom.
You are found guilty of 6 felony charges and 5 misdemeanor charges for assaulting Capitol Police officers on January 6, 2020. Sentencing to be determined at a later date.
But Your Honor, listen to this.
Dad, enough!
End of play. Good job, guys. Thank you. Good. Thank you so much.